I have presented in the first video the three perspectives of HRD in India. One can be called as the Vedic perspective, second, the national perspective, which starts with post emergence of independent India, and third is the organizational perspective, which is largely derived from corporate sector but applied to all organizations, government, non-governmental organizations, and all forms of entities. Uh, the Vedic perspective is drawn from Vedas, Upanishads, and so on, and focuses on uh, helping people to live a very healthy life. When they are here, focuses on values, focuses on their behavior, focuses on ways and means of attaining happiness as well as eternal happiness, what's called as moksha. I must mention that I am not an expert, I am an ordinary Indian. India has 1.3 billion population, 130 crores or 1300 million, and very learned people, and some of them have learnt, I think, Vedas. I am not one of those fortunate to have learnt Vedas, not even Sanskrit. But those, I think, are the people who can tell any interested person a lot about the Vedic uh, way of interpreting HRD. And as I mentioned, HRD term was never used in Vedas, but everything that Vedas talk deal with human resource development. That is helping people to self-realization. I think that is the essence of realize yourself, use your talent for yours, for the benefit of the society, to live a healthy life and things like that. The second is a national perspective where it deals with largely, I mean, the national perspective dealt with education. But if you want to include the national perspective, everything that happens which helps developing human resources. And if you treat human resources as people from all age groups, all communities, all caste groups, all genders, and so on and so forth, I mean, it takes a different kind of a thing. But the national perspective largely dealt through the Ministry of HRD and has largely focused on, I think, in the olden days on education, sports, culture, welfare, and education meant all education of adults, children, non-formal education, formal education, higher education, science and technology, medicine, engineering, management, all kinds of disciplines. Everything under the sun in the name of education was covered under the national perspective. In recent times, I think the national perspective has focused on skill development, self employment, encouraging startups, and so on. I think the government felt that this is very, very important besides whatever they are doing in education and so on. So, the new perspective of human resource development after the Ministry of HRD was started in 1984 and after the new government took over about 7 years ago. I think going with the trend of the world, the country is focusing very much on entrepreneurship, skill development, startups, ease of doing business, a whole lot of policies that facilitate uh, poverty alleviation, skill development, and making people capable of earning their own livelihoods and contributing to the country's development and so on. So a lot of things are happening, and it is not only by the Ministry of HRD. It is by, there are separate ministries. Every ministry does a bit of HRD, whether it is Ministry of Communication or Ministry of Information and Broadcasting or the Ministry of Personnel and so on. I think every ministry is involved in the HRD. Like in the corporate sector, we say HRD is not the job only of the HRD department, but every department should come in and then help people to grow and develop and things like that. That is the second perspective. When it comes to corporate sector or organizational perspective, I think today post pandemic, particularly post pandemic, a lot of things have happened. I think people started actually questioning their traditional ways of doing HRD. Of course, there is no time for questioning, there is only time for giving directions, what is required post pandemic. So, my perception of post pandemic HRD is whatever has been happening in the last 1.5 years, beginning January to February 2020 till now, this is April, May 2021. I think there is a big change. These three streams I talked of, HRD from the life's perspective or Vedic perspective, and the HRD from the national perspective, and HRD from the organizational perspective. All the three perspectives, I find them merging. They are coming, they are at least working hand in hand post pandemic. I must say, this is one of the great contributions, positive contributions of pandemic. While it has contributed to loss of many lives and misery in many people, and also brought down the livelihoods of some other people and so on. But I think a positive contribution is that all people realize that HRD or development, competence building, commitment building, culture building, etc. They all focus on survival for existence. This is the most important thing. People need to survive, and people need to be healthy, and people need to constantly build skills so that they can remain to be alive. Not only they remain to be alive, but to continue to master the means of earning income, which can in turn help them to remain healthy and things like that. So, how are these three perspectives? How do I see them as merging? As I mentioned, India is a vast country, lot of educated people, scholars, and so on. And I do not want to in any way pretend that I am one of those scholars, but I certainly perceive, having been one of those who promoted human resource development for the last almost 4.5 decades, starting with Larsen and Toubro. I do think that there is a convergence of all the three streams today. Now, how do I see the convergence? HRD is becoming spiritual. This is the convergence. This is something from Vedas. I think if people are being told that the way to fight coronavirus is by improving your resistance, and you can enhance your resistance by yoga, by meditation, by being at peace with yourself, by self realization. And there are lots and lots of indigenous ways of protecting yourself, all taken from Vedas, all taken from whatever wisdom that God generated. For example, yoga, meditation as a way. These are all being promoted by you, the spiritual gurus, either Jaggi Vasdev from Isha Foundation, or Sri Sri from the Art of Living, or Ramadev from whatever, in various ways, either through his Patanjali outfits or through Yoga Sutras, which he has been promoting, or the Ramakrishna Mission, which was, I think, initiated by Swami Vivekananda, who is the biggest, I think, the most important influential spiritual guru, or Chinmayananda Mission, and so many missions are there. All of them, I think, are the literature today, the WhatsApp messages, the articles that you find in newspapers, magazines are filled with ways and means of developing yourself for self realization, keeping yourself safe, and things like that. So, this is something which is being practiced by the country. Therefore, the national HRD has taken into cognizance the importance of whatever we have learned from Vedas, or the corporate sector, which is promoting a lot of these indigenous ways. I think offering Vipassana courses, of course, this is not today new, but it has started several years ago using the Buddhist kind of a tradition. Vipassana, I think corporations like ICICI Bank and others have exposed all their managers almost about 2 decades ago to Vipassana, technique of meditation. Brahma Kumaris, another sect, has established and assisted in some of the corporate universities to promote meditation in their own way, so that people can be at peace with themselves, create peace in the society, be value driven, and so on. So I find the Vedic tradition coming into without maybe the top, but these are being facilitated by HRD people. The country is also promoting this, and I'm sure I don't need to say much about it. The way the Ministry of HRD is uh, introducing in various curricula yoga, meditation, and things of that kind, the way the Prime Minister of the country, I think, has been promoting yoga and has been talking about Man Ki Baat, and so many things, if you see, I think are happening, which at the national uh, level of HRD, there is there is quite a bit of a congruence of the. So we are learning from uh, the Vedic area, HRD, and then HRD without using the term, or sometimes use the term. The same thing is happening in the organized sector. I have been focusing on the most important role of HRD people. And we said HRD persons are not anymore in the past, like in the past, are the whole guardians of HRD of a company. We have been saying every human being is his or her own HRD manager. Everyone is his or her own father or mother of HRD. So do not depend on HRD departments. And we are saying that, having said this, the HRD department has the most important role of creating circumstances for people to get learning, access to learning, so that they can build their competencies as individuals, build their competence in relation to the role, performance management, build their competencies as two persons, because happy and healthy relations are very important, build teams, and nowadays we talk of virtual teams, how to be engaged as an employee. And the extreme, the modern HRD thinking also says that if you are the most important person in managing your performance, do not expect an appraisal system to manage your performance. You should. And if you're not happy with your job, you should look inward rather than looking outward. I think this is a big significant change. So a performance manager is the person, the performer himself. It is the person who looks after his or her own competency building, commitment building, culture building, and the department only conducts surveys, gives data, and tries to help the organization to create circumstances. In other words, it fulfills the HRD role. We have also started talking about HRD managers as managers of developing all stakeholders. So HRD manager in the past had become much more of a, I think we realized across the last couple of decades, in our over enthusiasm to help corporations to make profit, grow, deliver results, we have only focused on HRD as an employer champion rather than an employee champion. Now, today we talk of HRD's main role is to be a champion of employees and a champion of employers, certainly, because if employers are not there, there is no activity, there is no finance, there is nothing happening. Therefore, you are an employer champion, you are an investor champion, and more than all of these, you are a customer champion, because all organizations are meant to serve the society. You are a customer champion, and also you are a champion of the society. So the moment you take this perspective, HRD department almost becomes a Vedic scholar. So that's why we are saying in the recent past, HRD manager, everyone who performs HR function, should be quite good at conducting this in a spiritual way. So we have started saying HRD is a philosophy, HRD is spiritual, HRD is value driven, and HRD is for all, and everyone should take care of the HRD. So if you look at today's situation post pandemic, I think we have come a long way, and I very clearly see a lot of collaboration between Vedic HRD, national HRD, and the corporate or organizational kind of HRD. I don't think that things are perfect. There are a lot of gaps. There we have a long way to go. But I think the direction in which post-pandemic the country is traveling, the HR function is traveling, I'm quite confident that soon we will do a wonderful job and set a good example for the rest of the world.